Hello everyone and welcome to Build for Every Block. Today's block is one that a lot of people really like. I'm personally not much of a fan, but it's still decent, I guess. That block would be Birch. Personally, I think it's too bright, but it can still stand on its own, and if executed well, it can create some really cool builds. And today is no exception. So let me show you how to do just that. To the reference board. So to start this off, I was a little confused about where to take this build, as no theme really came to me. Usually a block takes very well to a particular style, and the only thing I could come up with was a more modern style, just because it's such a bright block. So I started looking at mini homes. Not necessarily a standard way to go with modern, but stick with me here. Not really a modern style, but definitely rustic modern. I think this style takes well to this block, so that's the style I ended up going for and used this image. It's definitely not your typical mini home, but it's on the smaller side and it has the shape and colors I wanted to emulate. So this will be the base. From there, I found this really cool art project that has trees intertwined into the build, which I think would be a really cool way to work actual birch trees in. So with these two references, I had a pretty solid understanding of what the outside looked like, but as for the inside, I needed a bit of help. In comes these two images. First one is more of a comfortable modern day living room with a studio vibe. And as for the second one, it's more of a stereotypical mini home aesthetic. Ultimately, I used more of a split between the two, as my build isn't small enough to be categorized as a mini home. So I used a mix of a studio apartment and a mini home. Not much difference if you live in Tokyo or New York. It's honestly depressing the amount of square footage you get for such an insane amount of money, but I digress. Let's get to the plan. I really like the tree platform from the art project, so I yoinked that and put it in here. Really makes the entrance have an interesting flow to it. From there, I wanted to integrate the two-tier design from the forest home because I think it would be a really good way to maximize the utilization of space. From there, I came up with the idea of having a birch tree growing inside of the house. Kind of like the entrance tree platform, except the entire house is built around the tree. A really interesting concept in my opinion, and I think it really makes the build different from your stereotypical forest cabin. So, now with my trusty plan by my side, let's get to building, shall we? But first, a fun fact. How else am I supposed to get you guys to like my videos? So, did you know that birch trees have a powdery substance on their bark that can act as a natural sunscreen? Well, if you're ever camping and forget to bring your sunscreen, this can be a substitute. You'll look like a clown, but you'll have healthy skin. And that's all that matters at the end of the day. So now that I've charged your brain with new knowledge, now it's your turn to hit the like button. But with all that aside, let's continue with the build. For starters, I wanted to keep this build on a relatively small footprint as I wanted to emulate mini homes. And it kind of defeated the purpose of a mini home if it has a large footprint. So I tried to keep it small, but still have lots of functionality too. The birch trees are custom made, as vanilla birch trees are unbelievably boring looking and also not tall enough, so I made two different designs real quick before starting. The entrance staircase and the platform are relatively basic, as I just wanted something to build the house off of and have the entrance connect to something. The flow of the build would have been off if I just connected it directly to the house, so having the platform to separate them makes it feel more right. As for the actual layout of the house, pretty much one-to-one to the forest cabin reference with a few tweaks to make it work in Minecraft because diagonals are really annoying. As for the palette itself, I wanted a lot of darker colors because birch is a very bright block, so I need other darker colors to bring it back down to earth and balance out the palette. If I keep all of the blocks bright, then it will look like a mess, so to keep everything in the realm of reality, I need darker colors to bring out the birch. So I made the walls out of birch, obviously, but I made the accents and the roof darker colors for the reasons I just talked about. Now the tall, broad wall on the tower, let's call it, has this weird blank wall where I can't put windows as it'll interfere with the interior wall real estate. So instead, I did a bit of a texture wall here. As for why it's a texture wall, well, that's pretty simple. It's because I ran out of ideas, and this was the only way to not make it look bland as hell. So here we are. As for what's inside, that would include the basic stuff, such as storage and a bedroom on the second level. Now for the lower floor. The shape here is very simple, as I wanted a bit more space, so I didn't follow the upper L shape and instead just made it a rectangle. I continued with the texture wall all the way down for some continuity, and the rest is just basic birch wall with some spruce accents. The inside has a furnace wall and an enchanting station. Also, something I need to note here is that the enchanting station is one bookshelf short. So if you want level 30 enchants, you're gonna need to add in the extra bookshelf. And that's it for the interior, except for some extra small decorations which I'll show in the final reveal. As for the exterior, I added in a small garden on the opposite side of the texture wall to fill in this side. And the others have small windows for some variety. And then I added in bushes to not make it look so bland. And that's it. Fairly straightforward build as far as I'm concerned. Now with the build finished, I think it turned out the way I wanted it to. I like the palette and the overall coziness of the build. I think in terms of how mini it is, it certainly isn't as small as some of the other mini houses in real life. However, Minecraft doesn't really take well to small builds with lots of detail. Usually smaller builds are also in terms simpler, so I think I found a good mix between the two. But yeah, that's it. If you enjoyed the build, make sure to leave a like, and subscribe for more content in the future. So yeah, that's it for me. See you guys next time.